Welcome back to another video. I'm Jamil. This is a boy named Jamil. Let's get into it. You guys saw the title. I want to say at the beginning of this video, in the onset, that these are just my feelings about APS-C. If you shoot Sony APS-C, if you're someone who recommends Sony APS-C, great, keep doing that. I think that people should shoot with the cameras that they have, that they want, that they love. I think that people should recommend the things that they love. Someone asked me if I would go and review a Sony APS-C camera, or if I could recommend one. And the answer to both of those questions is no. And so I want to give my reasons for that. It's also important to know that I shoot Sony. I shoot Sony camera systems. And so if my reasons for not recommending Sony APS-C cameras are not true, or they're not accurate about other APS-C systems, and you're in that system and you're like, that's not right, you should make the videos on those systems. I don't shoot those systems, so I can only speak from the viewpoint of someone who shoots Sony camera systems. So 5 reasons why I can't recommend APS-C cameras. As full frame cameras get smaller and cheaper, I just don't think that there's a lot of value in APS-C cameras anymore. And here's what I'm talking about. The very best hybrid Sony APS-C camera right now, hands down, is the A6700. Brand new, that camera is $1,399. So, with sales tax and stuff like that, you're gonna pay $1,525, right? Or something like that, somewhere around that. $1,525, $1,625, something like that. I was able to find a A6700, the cheapest A6700 used, in excellent condition that I could find, with $1,304. Why am I talking about the used one? I was able to find a used Sony A7C for $1,000 in excellent condition. And I think, it is my view, it is my feeling, it is my recommendation that if you are someone, a beginner, whomever, if you're looking for your first camera and it's going to be your only camera, I think you should try to get into a full frame system as quickly as you can. And so if the choice is between a full frame A7C or APS-C A6700, I'm gonna take the full frame camera. Now, someone might be saying like, but the 6700 has newer autofocus and AI and all of that stuff. I was able to find an A7C II used in excellent condition, $1,800. And so for that extra $300, I believe that negates whatever you get in an APS-C camera. You know what I mean? Same size body for the most part. It's a better camera. And so I'm always gonna advocate that, all things equal, go for the full frame. Right now I'm shooting, it's 9 o'clock at night. I'm using my A7C. I'm shooting at 1.8 on my 20mm, and the ISO is at 5,000. I just don't know that you can get this kind of footage, this footage that we're looking at right now, with an APS-C camera, especially, at this time of night. There's not a lot of light. I wish that I could show you guys just how dark it really is out here. And I believe, even at full frame, on my APS-C camera, on my A7C, that 6400 ISO is about as far as I would go. And so I got the camera on ISO, on auto ISO, and I'm trusting that I'm going to be able to get usable footage. And I just don't think that you can trust that same thing with that smaller sensor on an APS-C camera. Guys, look at this backdrop. Let's go get some more photos. Too often in these APS-C bodies, they're just not professional enough. What do I mean by that? Well, number one for me is that they don't have joysticks. And so I know that someone might be asking, with Sony's autofocus, why would you need a joystick? And I would say to that person, you're a person who doesn't shoot street photography, and you're a person who doesn't shoot landscape photography. I use my joystick all the time. In fact, I use it so much that it's actually kind of worn down on my A7R4. I don't know if you guys can see that, but some of the nubs are worn down. I use it a lot. I don't like to touch my screen. So that's one. And then I shoot a lot of street photography. I use spot focus a lot. I use zone focus a lot. In fact, I'm using zone focus right now, which is why the focus doesn't change on the A7 IV, because I have the zone, you know, set to the top to focus on my face. So I need a joystick. Number two is that there's less custom buttons. So on my A7R4, there are 4 custom buttons, 1, 2, 3, and then 4, like actual custom buttons, not buttons that, you know, can be programmed. So on this camera, sure, I can program all of these buttons, but when I hold the camera, the palm of my hand hits these buttons a lot. And so I don't want to accidentally change a setting or get into a setting because I accidentally touch one of these buttons. I need the custom buttons. Number 3, these cameras only still have 1 card slot. You guys don't need me to tell you this. When you're doing professional work, if you're shooting someone's wedding and they pay you to be there for 10, you better deliver those photos, right? No bride is gonna be understanding that, you know, a card corrupted on you. You know, no other customer, you know, who, you know, is counting on the work that you're doing and is going to be like, no, I understand that card's corrupt. We can just shoot all of that. Again, you can't, you know what I mean? So you need that backup. When we talked about the value of the bodies, I think a lot of that then also transfers over to the lenses. Sony lenses are expensive. We know that. So finding a good zoom lens for APS-C is going to be expensive. Sony's are a lot of money. I think Sigma makes some zoom lenses for APS-C, and I think also Tamron makes zoom lenses for APS-C. But I think that they're around the same price as full frame zoom lenses that you can get from Tamron and Sigma. So I just think that APS-C lenses are really expensive. With that being said, you know, expensive APS-C lenses become less of an investment when I think most people will transfer to full frame bodies. And so if you go out and you spend whatever it is, I didn't do, you know, a lot of research. I do remember that when Sony came out with their zoom lenses, it was just like, man, that's a lot of money for a Sony zoom lens. Let's see. Let's do Sony APS-C. All right, so for Sony zoom lens, APS-C is 16 to 55, right? That lens is that lens is $1,300. That's a lot. That's the 16 to 55, okay? The next best is the f4 lens, power zoom. Check the price on that one. That one is a whopping $700 for an f4. And then let's do the 70 to 350, which is a good, you know, range. That one is $900. I just don't think the volume is there. The value is there, especially considering that full frame is the goal. And then the other thing is, let's say you do transfer, you know, to a full frame. Someone's gonna say, well, I can just use my APS-C lenses on a full frame body. But then why would you buy a full frame if you're not using a full frame with your lenses? And then someone will say like, oh, you know, I'll just use my full frame lenses on my APS-C body, but then that's a chore also. So this is my widest lens, my widest 20mm 1.8. When I put this on a APS-C body, this is no longer a 20, it's no longer a 1.8. It becomes a 33, and then it also becomes a 2.4. So you lose out on the lens that you paid for. Either way, you can't use the same lenses. Moving from APS-C to a full frame is like moving from Sony to Canon. You're gonna have to get all new lenses. And I just think that, like, you sunk all of that money into these lenses, you know what I mean? I just don't think that there's value. There's not value in APS-C anymore. The last reason is that I think that, no, I know, there are no high resolution Sony APS-C bodies. And that's probably the biggest for me. The biggest thing for me is, you guys know that I shoot with my A7R4, right? I shoot with it because I love that it's a 61 megapixel high resolution camera. There's no option for me. There's no photo option for me in the APS-C bodies. I think the highest megapixel camera is the 6700, which is 26 megapixels. And for me and the work that I do, it's just not enough. I print my photos a lot. I actually print photos a lot. And so I need that resolution. And so that's the biggest reason for me, aside from, you know, the value, is that there's just no option for me. And so there's no reason for me to go out and test those cameras. There's no reason for me to recommend them because I'm never going to use them. I pride myself on not recommending or trying to sell you guys things that I wouldn't use. And so anyway, that's the video. I'm the Middle Boy named Jamil. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.